So I want to welcome a bunch of you. Stu is there, David Angel, Ed, Foxy Jack, Kadidi, Lynn from. Hey, Lynn, how's it going? I missed not talking to you folks. Mikey, Peter's there. I haven't talked to him in a while either. Scott, TopCat19. We're moving forward to more mundane things like portal sorting, which is like the bane of our existence for the last 20 years. So Kristian is here. I'm going to quit sharing my screen. So what I always tell people, Kristian, is why are you here and why should we give a It's I always have and Claris is like, what, you said that? I said it'll edit it out. It'll quack it out. Why do we care about you, Kristian? Why should we possibly care what you're doing?
I'm glad you asked that. I actually put a section in my presentation specifically for that. I wanted to cover.
You knew it was
I was
coming.
like, I knew it was coming. I wanted to cover one housekeeping item real quick, and then I will jump into why does this matter. So we're here for Wolfpack X13, the 13, and really there's just a new add-on for portal sorts that I'm going to chat about. But I did want to talk about the fact that there was a quiet release of X12 a couple weeks ago. We didn't make any big announcements, but it's, I think, worth people kind of knowing.
This is an emergency alert. If you're programming right now, and you use the insert, or if you call PSOS, we call PSOS all the time, it's wonderful. One of the new features is PSOS with callback, okay? PSOS with callback. We have confirmed dead bodies, like a biological outbreak with dead people. If you do the callback and the user who initiated happens to disconnect and go on and have a bagel or a muffin, or they go home and the FileMaker server tries to call them back, it blows up the script engine in FileMaker server. Now, you may not have the problem, but I get one of Garrett's big customers with 80 users, and they are mad at Garrett. And I took it to Claris, submit to Claris. Claris Engineering is already in pursuit, chasing it in their patrol car. Meanwhile, the customer is down, so Garrett did an emergency refactoring of the script so it doesn't do a callback. It's the callback, but then it tries to call and no one's there.
And it crashes the script engine on the server.
Yes, and you can't restart it. You have to reboot the whole.
I've been encouraging Garrett to use that script step because he wasn't using it.
You are okay, Margaret. I like to have the police come in here and arrest Kristian as an accessory.
It's a really powerful script step.
Unless it
blows up your. That's good to know.
Blows up your. I need an explosion where the chunks are coming off. It's like that.
I mean, you have the poppers next to you. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. But these are happy poppers. This is bad poppers. All right. Well, I want to alert everyone on the crash. So Stu knows what a crash stop is. Crash stop. All right. So now you may proceed forward at headway speed. That's another enable.
Well, and this is good because it actually ties into this. This is actually a bug in FileMaker that one of our people in the community reached out to our tech support about. And so, as some of you are probably aware, if you've used Wolfpack, there's that cute howl at the beginning. Which yes. I didn't add to the product. But it was a cool little feature. Unfortunately, either interactive containers altogether or that specific MP3 file breaks add-ons. Kind of ironic to have it in Wolfpack. So if you use,
that's another one we submitted to Claris, right? But that wasn't like it didn't destroy everything. So did they get back?
You could restart FileMaker and it would work again. And add-ons themselves didn't break, but the process of installing them, the process of dragging them off of the left pane onto the screen. So if you take an old copy of Wolfpack and you open it, and then you go to another file and you go to the add-on pane and you try to drag add-ons on, they may not actually drag onto your screen. Now, I'd run into this and I just assumed it was some sort of bug and I ignored it. But we had someone reach out to our tech support about it. And after doing further investigating, I realized that it was because of that. And what's so odd about this is that one FileMaker file system-wide destroys that ability until you restart FileMaker. So when you download X12 or X13 that we released today, there will be no howl. We apologize for that. There's no longer a howl, but it doesn't create the bug. And hopefully our friends over at Claris will get our bug report and fix this because I'd love nothing more to bring the howl back, because I have gotten used to that little howl when it opens up. I thought that was cute. So that's something I wanted to let you guys know. We didn't put an announcement out about that, but when you go to open it, you'll notice that. I also did some cleanup. I removed some old add-ons that were in there that aren't needed. Not ones that you guys can use, but ones that were actually installed into the file. And then I'm not going to spend any time on it today. But our friend Jonathan Nicoletti over at I don't want to say his,
yes,
he had been on the show not that long ago and given us a couple add-ons, a Gmail OAuth one. Jonathan sent us an update to the Gmail one. I don't know why it says version 1. It is version 2. It's a minimal change from what I understood from him. I wasn't even sure, but technically there is an update on that. All that housekeeping being done, what we're going to talk about today is portal sorting. And so, as Richard always asks, why does this matter? Why do I care? Why are you guys
why
here?
do I care?
So I'm gonna start with kind of getting. I want to talk to all our skill levels. So those of you who are super ninjas, bear with us here for a moment. When you go into different modules, especially if you're in like a list view, you might want the ability to sort that list by the account name, or maybe you want to sort it by the category. And so we have these handy little buttons at the top, and it calls a script that has, let's just add a script in here real quick, that has this code, has a sort records command. And you can go in here and you can say, sort it by whatever single field combination, ascending, descending, and it's relatively easy to do. You don't need to be that skilled, and it's really useful. But if you start to develop or you're working on your own solution, at some point, you're going to go, oh, I want to sort the estimates portal or the invoices portal. And what you're going to realize is that your options change quite a bit. I'm going to move zoom out of the way here. So you go over here and you double click on the portal and you're like, okay, I can sort it, but I'm kind of restricted. I'm only sorting it by this one option. I don't have these buttons to click on to decide that I'm instead going to sort it by this criteria, account number, or the name.
But this is where we have to set up like a global field as a filter and that whole little song and dance. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So normally there's ways to do this. I didn't invent anything, and I'm gonna give some credit where credit is due. But typically doing this has not been very easy. And I'll be straightforward. Most of the time when my clients come to me and they ask for this feature, I say to them, look, I can do it, but it's going to take a bunch of time. If the table's got a lot of records, this could be really cantankerous. I give a lot of caveats, and what I will generally do is drive them towards a list view. I like list views because of the sub summaries. They're more, performance features. And so maybe we open a card window, and I'm not going to stop doing that altogether, but I had a client who had 3 or 4 portals on screen, and he needed to be able to sort those. And interestingly enough, this is so, as some of you may know or may not know, I would say about 30% of my clients are actual developers, and I coach them. So when he came to me, he said, well, Kristian, I've already made one of the portals sort with the little buttons like you guys have. I said, oh, that's interesting. Let me see what you did. And so he's a big fan of us, obviously hires us. But he also is a subscriber to other people out there in the community. One that you guys are very familiar with, ISO Magazine, Matt Petrowski. And so
the Matt.
Okay. So my understanding is that he got a demo file from him. And so I just want to make sure, that ISO gets a shout out here. I think that a lot of the code in here is inspired from what came there. So, but he had a lot of issues. Trying to add this to all the portals was a bit cumbersome. He couldn't get the different portals to independently sort. So like he could sort this one, but not this one. And so he was a bit limited with what he could do. And so I went in there, I built something for him, and I said, this is actually really neat. I would use this again myself. So how can I make this reproducible and easy to share? And I made an add-on.
Yeah, before we dive into the add-on, let me just say one thing here real quick. So Matt is fantastic. I love Matt. Matt Petrowski, when he trains everyone like he's talking to fellow PhDs and they're working on the fusion reactor that drives FileMaker server and stuff. And so he's brilliant and stuff, and some of his tricks are off the hook in terms of impressive. But I always tell people like, hey, all I want is advanced training. I mean, I'm always like, yeah, spend money with us. But if all you want is super triple ninja, like above everyone else in the planet, then just buy Matt's stuff, right? I always tell people that. But if you're like more beginning, intermediate, advanced, or you have gaps in your knowledge, then make sure you buy our stuff. But I love watching Matt. It's always intimidating going, holy, how does he know all this, right? So it's like, smart guy. Really smart.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've had clients come to me from a variety of different sources on the internet, and I try to have a very open relationship with any of the other consultancies with what, they may share. And that's one of the reasons I like to share my stuff as well. And so, yeah, so my client, he's downloaded a couple of videos. He really likes what he sees there. Obviously, he's got a lot of our videos as well. And one of the things that's nice too, this does use some SQL. And while I can do SQL, it's always kind of nice when someone's maybe done some of the heavy lifting already. I want to do a quick recap. I'm not going to walk 100% through this because we have a lot of videos on it. But when you guys download Wolfpack, there's a bunch of add-ons in here. You can select the dynamic portal sort and you can install it. This is step one to making all this work. Go back, watch some of our videos. We literally have a video in here on that. So that's going to be step one. And then you've also got your pre-flight checklist here. And we will use this today while installing it, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that out of the way temporarily. And I'm going to open up another copy of Starting Point. Ignore which copy it is for a moment, Richard. This one has records in it, so maybe you won't even notice. We're going to go ahead and install the add-on. So if I click the plus, I've already run it on Wolfpack. And so if I go in here and I search for Portal, I should be able to find it. There it is. And I'm going to go ahead and choose it. And it's going to install it. So remember, now it's added the script at the very bottom here. Okay. It's added a bunch of custom functions, and it even added a table over here. Okay. The table's not that important, but I'll show you why I put it in just a moment. So we're going to close this, and I'm going to drag these buttons off screen just so we have them over here. And let's bring Wolfpack back over. Okay. So Wolfpack says, hey, copy the fields from the dynamic portal sort table and paste them into your target table.
Oh, that's why the table's there, so you can copy.
Makes it a little easier, exactly. Okay. And so I am going to, for the purposes of this demo, we're in the accounts module of Starting Point.
Sure.
But there is a projects portal here.
Yep.
And I want to be able to sort this by category and date. We can really sort by as many as we want. I'm just going to do those to start with, and then we can go from there. So I'm going to go to Manage Database. I'm going to find that new table, Dynamic Portal Sort.
Okay.
I'm going to copy these two fields.
Only two. Okay, great.
Only two. And don't worry too much about them, but one of them gets the record number, and the other one does some magic. Now, this one we'll talk about in a second, because for your first portal on a layout or a table, you don't have to do anything. But if you do lots of them, then you're going to have to tinker with it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's go to projects.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, good. We're going to say something?
No. I suddenly understood what you're saying. So if one portal is drag and drop, if you have two or three portals, you probably have to name them, and then yeah.
Exactly. So we're gonna. In fact, you'll notice this one. If you guys are familiar with my add-ons, I like to make a bunch of custom functions to make everything really easy. So we have a custom function here called sort portal field. We have that field that we just added called record ID, which is the record ID of the field, or of the. And then I have a custom function called sort portal name. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not in my instructions, but let's go ahead. Let's go talk about this one for a second. So I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to say, okay. And because you're exactly right on that, Richard. So I think this is slightly out of order, but the order is okay. We're going to go to custom functions and sort portal. Pretty much all of these have that prefix. And you'll notice that one of them here says sort portal name and
okay. I'm going to ask
underscore.
a question. When you did the install, it put all those custom functions in there?
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Wait, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 10 custom functions.
There's actually a couple more that don't have that are generic, but yes, it brought over at least 10.
So it's added the script and it added the custom
script, custom functions, and a table.
Okay.
And the buttons.
And the buttons that are, yeah, okay, great.
Mhm. So this custom function, if you guys open it up, you're gonna go, what the heck, Christian? It's some text that says portal. That's it. Okay. And you don't need to use this custom function. And I'll explain though why I like to use it. What you need to make sure is that everywhere that references that function name or says portal name, they all need to be referring to the same thing. So if
Yeah.
I go to this projects portal and I name it portal,
Okay.
whoops, and you got to spell things correctly, which is a big part of why I like the custom function. So if we go back to projects and we go to that sort field, you'll notice it's referencing that custom function. Remember, all this says is portal.
Yeah.
And that will work. What I just did right there will work. The reason I like to put these in custom functions is it helps with spelling errors. It makes sure that everywhere that uses it, other than naming the portal, references the exact same object. So even though that custom function is literally just text, I know that everything is consistently named, and it makes it a little easier for me to move things around. You don't even have to use it, and it comes into play if we want to sort more than one portal on a layout or a table. Like once you get a little more complicated. For the simple integration, you just name it portal, use the custom function. So let's go back to the instructions here for a second. So we copied those fields, boom, boom. Let's go to step 2. Make sure the portal name matches the name of the custom function. We didn't jump ahead. Good job, boss. That was the next part of it. Cap install. So again, this part is really, really important. All of the logic under the hood, if you will, is based on this portal name. So you got to name the portal name, and everything else has to reference it. If you're going to use other ones, like I mentioned on here, you need to create another custom function, or just make sure that the name matches everywhere. Okay. And you guys are going to see this come into play in a minute. So now we're going to start editing the buttons. We need to edit the button parameter. We need to use the record ID, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to walk you guys through this and we can come back and look at the instructions. I think that the instructions are maybe less clear than just bringing these things over. So in this add-on, I have 2 different button options for you. So that's what you don't need both of these. You can choose one or the other, or even kind of modify from there. This button is probably more true to the demo file that ISO Magazine had. And this is a button bar that I made that it works a little bit different. I like what he did here, but I also just like using the icons. But we'll talk about the differences there. So we're going to double click on this button. And first we need to edit the name. So up here, it wants to know a couple things. What is that actually should just say name. So this, I might update this later. This is actually just text. So I'm going to have this say category. Okay. And then this is actually more important. This is coming from T16 projects, and it's the category field. And you'll notice, or I'm going to bring it to your attention if you did, off to the right is that custom function again. This is going to come up over and over and over again. So again, you could put portal right here, but I like the custom function. It just makes it a little easier. Okay. All right. And then we're going to edit the parameter, and similar kind of logic here. We need to know the field name. Okay. This is the field that we're sorting by. So we're going to do category. And then it wants to know that field that we added to the table, the record ID. So I'm going to do T16, and I'm going to do record ID. So again, the field that we're sorting by, this field that I had you guys add, and then there's that custom function. Okay. We're going to say okay. And this button is actually done. But let's go take a look at the other button object, and then we'll go to browse mode. Well, we'll go back to the instructions and we'll look it over. So I'm going to edit this one. This one has a few more steps. The first one is just putting in the name of the button. Over here, we're going to be sorting by the start date. I'm just going to use the term date. And I've got 3 segments that I need to put this in. So everything I do right now is going to be triplicated. And then I need to come down here and edit the parameter. A lot like the other button, it wants to know those same fields. So I'm going to do T16 record ID. But over here, I'm sorting by a different field. So again, this is the field that you want to sort by. So we're going to do T16 date start. Okay, and I'm gonna copy this. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to go to the other two button segments, which have the exact same parameter. Same script, same parameter. There's only one script in this add-on, okay? And then one final step for these. So we need to edit the hide calculation. I need to move you out of the way for a second. Okay, and so over here, it wants to know the field. So again, T16, date start. And then over here, if we type this custom function out, sort portal button hide, this wants to know the field name, it wants to know the portal name, and then it wants to know whether this is ascending, descending, or actually null, which we'll get to. So I kind of help you with them. There's already an example in there. And again, there's our portal name. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. And I'm just going to copy the field name. And I'm going to go to the next hide calc, which is the descend option. And I'm going to go to our null. And this one just has an empty in here, okay? So we're going to paste that in there. And let's go back to our instructions, because I do like to skip a step, and this will help me. I know what I'm skipping, but let's go through these. So this says, hey, you need to edit the button parameter. We did that. This says, use the record ID copied from the portal sort table. Hopefully you guys saw that, made sense. Reference field portal should be sorted by if button is pressed. Reference field portal should be sorted by. So that is really poorly worded. But I believe what we need to go do here is sort this
Something
portal.
like beta testing on live TV, right? In terms of the implementation.
I wrote it this morning. Clearly I read through that. So that's why we have these videos to accompany these. And then the third parameter is the portal. Oh, I see. This is still just talking about the parameter. And so what it's saying here, it's saying that this is the field that the portal should reference for the sort. Okay. So it's poorly written. You guys can give me some flack for that. And then the third one is the portal name. So let's go to step 4. And this says, hey, if you're going to use this option, which you don't even need to, you need to edit the hide calc. But for both of them, you need to edit the button name. And then it says there's 2 button options. One of them is just text. The other one is a function. So if we go back to this one was a function. There's a handful of options. And then the other one is just raw text, just date. Okay. And then if you're using the segment but bar, edit hide calc with similar inputs as the parameter. And then the final option, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit here, and I forget this one frequently, is to sort the portal by this new field that we added called sort. And remember, at the very beginning, I named the portal. That is important. So we're going to mark that, and that's it. So let's see on live television if this works or if I got egg on my face. And then we'll go to the next step. Okay. So I need to move you again, boss. You keep getting in the way. And so we're going to click on category. And as you'll notice, we've got it sorting I down to empty. If I go to a different record, it would have some better options. And if I click on this, now we've got empty going down. And you'll notice we've got a little arrow here. Okay, so that's button option 1. Now, if I click on date, it's going to give me the icon over here, which I like. And I can actually shrink this. I think this thing all needs to be like 70, 75 pixels wide. So you'll notice here too, so date is working. And then if I switch back to category, so I get that visual feedback of which one it's actually sorting by and which direction in theory. So with this one, we've got the light lines, dark lines. This one actually has the up and down arrows. With this button over here, if you want to change the formatting, you have 3 different buttons and they just hide accordingly. This one is just going to say date. The icon doesn't actually show, but you could come in here and you can modify this however you want it to look. This one's a little bit more advanced. This one, if you guys have used some other custom function, other add-ons. So if we go to sort portal, or if you've even used starting point, if you've ever edited our button bar, similar, not exactly the same, but if we go to sort portal button bar, here is the calculation for that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I just want to show you guys you can come in here, and so you can see it's taking the name. This is the arrows. So this is something I think that came out of Petrowski's file. So it's kind of neat. He just puts these text up and down arrows. So we evaluate if it's sorting ascending or descending, and then we put that on there and we make it bold. But you guys can come in here and you can modify how that looks. Okay, let's cancel out of there. I'm going to double check my instructions. And before I move on to the other one, I want to give you guys also some real world case examples on this. One of the things that wasn't in my notes, but I'm going to add it because it's a question I think that I would expect you to ask, which is, all right, Kristian, this is great on a local file with not a lot of records. How does your unstored calculation that this is sorting on work on a hosted file that has a lot more records? And the client that I built this for, we're using this technique with 3 portals on screen, and those tables have tens to hundreds of thousands of records inside of them. And I was quite impressed with actually how quick it was. It's interesting, the first time we open the file and click the button on one of them, there seems to be a little bit of latency, and then all of them just work almost instantly after that. Because that's always been one of my concerns. I built one of these kind of demo files a long time ago when I was new, and on a local file it worked, and then as soon as I put it on a hosted file, it just was a turd.
Yeah.
So in practical use, and the client that I was using this for, they've got it hosted on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, and it worked quite well. And the client and his users are all very satisfied with it so far. So no questions, it sounds like, in terms of people are pretty quiet there.
Yeah, I don't think anyone gives a
We
really
do have a question
Peter's
actually.
there.
From
Hey,
Peter.
you're alive. He's alive. Peter, he's alive.
Peter
I'm
wants to
gonna-
know if you can combine sorts and how many sorts you could possibly stack in one go before it all collapses.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So when you start to look at these dynamic portal sorts, like when I've actually, for whatever reason, I mean, I quite like this as a developer. It seems like sometimes when one client asks me for something, all of a sudden other clients do. I don't know if maybe I go start trying to suggest it, but I had another client shortly before this client ask for the same thing. Now, they didn't give me an example of it that works, so I had to go to my sample files and try to see what has worked for this in the past. And what I came across is there was kind of 2 ways to do this. One of them was where you click on the headers, like we have in our list view, and you get one or you get the other. The other sample file I found was from Nick Hunter, and he has one where you click on one of these buttons there. I think it's actually this one right here. And you can say, I want to sort by this, and then you click apply, and it puts them in that order and sorts them that way. And Nick has this where you can use it on the record that you're on or a portal, but I don't see them crossed. So no, if I'm understanding your question correctly, Peter, you're going to sort by this field or you're going to sort by this field. You're not going to combine them together. Now, you could, in theory, write the SQL that this is actually 2 fields versus 1. I think it might start to get more complicated. For my client's use, it was like, look, we're going to sort by this column. We're going to sort by this column. While I think what Nick did over here is really cool with the you can sort by this and stack this, in the 10 years that I've been doing development, I think that request has maybe come up one time. All the clients that I've tried to suggest it to, they find it to be confusing. So when I've needed to do a complicated stack sort, we usually just have a button that they know does that specific thing that stacks them. But long answer to it, if I'm understanding your question, no, it doesn't do that.
All right, Peter.
And I see that he's typing, so give him a second.
Typing. Here we go. Okay, Nick, salute.
Mhm.
Okay, you're out. Nick's in.
Yeah.
All right, there we
But
go.
Nix will not do this. So I just want to be really clear. Nix will stack them, but it looks like this. So you're going to go in here and go, I want that and this, and then say apply. It doesn't have this header thing where you switch between them. Because I was going to use Nix on the other file, and it didn't do what either of my clients wanted. No hate on Nick. Oh, you're fine, Peter. And I see David's typing, so we'll give him a second too. I'd love to answer some questions. I can show you guys how to use this on multiple portals. Oh, we lost him. He was going to type.
He died.
You can't say their name or you scare them off.
I scare them away.
Yeah, heck.
And you guys see the other threads or the other social media, like no other
People are
questions on
talking
YouTube.
in YouTube, but there's no questions. I don't see any
Okay.
at the moment.
Oh,
at
I'm not
least.
seeing YouTube. Let me look over on YouTube here.
People are
No
saying that this
worries.
is indeed awesome. They are confirming your awesomeness. Sean
What-
has
oh,
sent
what
you
is it?
4 cats and sunglasses.
Sean doesn't.
Sean Hughes or a
Hughes
different
does not
Sean?
count. No, that's
No,
Hughes.
no, Sean Hughes.
He's sending me cats. That sounds about right. Sean has to pay for this. Sean has to pay for this demo file. Everyone else can have it for free. All right.
But Rick Fosnot said this is very cool. So
Cool.
your
And then I
awesomeness
see
is
that,
confirmed.
that David is asking, like, what's it doing under the hood? So I'll show you guys that, and then I'll show you how to do the multiple portals, because I want to make sure you see how to do the multiple portals, because it's not hard, but there is this little tinkering to it. The magic under the hood is, so first there's this field that we're sorting by. So if we go to projects, there is this sort field that's calling a custom function, okay? And it needs to know the name of the portal, and it needs to know the record ID, okay? And if we open up our data viewer, there's a piece of JSON in here. You guys are going to be shocked to know that I like using JSON. So in fact, oh, look, I've already got it formatted. So what this does is it organizes our logic by the portal name. So the first portal is just called portal. Once we do a second, you'll see we're going to have a second JSON object. It tells us the direction. This is our ascend versus descend. It tells us the field that we're sorting by, and then it creates a series of numbers that these are actually sorting by. In fact, if we go over here and we
Those are the
change
record numbers. Okay.
it's exactly the record. Well, kind of. So it knows the record number, which gives us an order, but then sort, what is this? Which one is projects? There we go. So if we take sort here and look at it in the portal, and we go back, there we go. So you can see there's 14, 13, 12, and if I click on this, 15, 13, 12, it's using the record ID and that thing to put these in the order that it needs. That part doesn't 100% make sense to me because, and this is where credit is due, if you go to the custom functions and you go to sortal, or let me back up for 1 second. That one script, it wants to know the portal name and then it calls a custom function. I actually don't even need a script for this, except maybe to refresh the portal, but I thought it would be helpful for you guys to see this happening somewhere. But the most complicated part of this and the magic sauce is in this function called sort portal. And the simplified version of what's going on here is it does a SQL call, which we can open up. But the SQL call looks at the field that you're getting in the record IDs and puts the record IDs in the order that you would want them in the sort field. So this other function called sortal port select, this came from, I believe, the Matt Petrowski file, and I changed it because his you'd have to make a new one per portal, and this one just works on all of them. So this select statement right here magically puts those record ID numbers in the order that you need. I don't think he's the only one that's done this. I have a couple other demo files that do something similar. The credit I will give here is his is done in a single calculation or script, where the other sample files I have, it's a whole series of scripts and extremely difficult, I think, to follow. So short version, if it makes sense, David, is we're doing a SQL call. We're looking for the field that we want. We're looking at the order, and then we use the record ID to create a logical thing to order. I see he's typing. We'll give him a second to and there are some notes up here.
Yeah. Damn it. I needed this for Big Valley, but I'm looking at this going, they only need to sort like one thing or something, two things, and it's probably just easier for me to wire it with something else than this.
Well, with this, all you got to do is drag and drop it on and edit a couple buttons. You don't. That's the nice thing with these
The
add-ons.
problem is
You don't
that
have to
the demo-
understand how they work.
I know, but we're doing this like a 1 hour thing, and I'm sitting here, and you're like, and you're discussing how cancer mutates and metamorphosizes through your cells, and I'm like,
But you don't need to. You don't need to know any of that. All you need to do is follow those five.
back up. What's the minimum checklist? The minimum checklist for this thing?
Five steps.
Okay. So we
Install first. You got to install the add-on. Drag it on.
Margaret, we're paying attention. We're gonna do this tomorrow or something.
We're gonna here. Why don't we do?
Okay.
We're gonna do. Let's do this, Richard. Let's do the second portal, and we're gonna go back through all the steps. Does that sound good?
We should do it on the actual app. We should actually. Well, that's it.
What, you want to just like rip
can.
PVA open and have
We can.
Christian walk you through it?
We don't have
Do
time.
it.
That would be the smart thing to do.
Nah, let's do it.
Happy
Let's
to do that.
We can do it in 12 minutes. Christian, can you do it in 12 minutes?
Yeah, probably. And then just to answer David's Angel's question in there, yes, the SQL is making a list of the record ID in the correct logical order.
Yeah, the SQL is being fired by the custom function. It does magical, creates the order, and then it sorts based upon that. Yeah.
If you don't want to do BVA, which I'm more than happy to, what I was going to do next is a second portal on this screen. So watch this. We're going to go through the steps again. And this one's the harder option because we're doing a second one, okay?
Yeah, let's trim
again,
out
you're just on one. So we're gonna drag the fields on screen
Step
or the
one.
buttons.
Yep.
We're gonna go to the table that we
Copy the fields. I was good there. I was good there.
Yeah. And we're doing products this time. So we're gonna go to products. I'm gonna paste.
Okay.
And then technically I should have done one step before this. We'll come back to this in just a second. I'm gonna go to manage custom functions. I'm gonna go to sort portal name and I'm gonna duplicate it. I mean, I just really need to make a new one. And I'm going to call this one sort portal name products.
Oh,
and
so
I'm gonna,
that one really should be
projects. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take that name.
Okay.
That's the, and then I'm going to go to the portal.
Okay.
And I'm going to name the portal. Okay.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go back to products because, like I said, I probably should have done that part first.
Fine. And
I'm going to take sort. And the sort portal name is products. That's it. It's not like the custom function.
Actually, this is really okay. Yeah, okay. This actually makes more sense now. So, step one, step two. Now we're on step three. Okay, good. Keep going. What else?
Okay, so now that we've done that, to make it more simple, do you have a preference between the single button or do you like the little button segments?
No, I like the little buttons, and I would actually set them all to show initially and not hide because that would just make my head explode. So.
Yeah, so but let's walk through though real quick. So I'm going to double click on this. So over here I'm sorting by product. That's the product field, and over here it's category. So I'm going to double click on the first one, and I'm going to call this product.
Okay.
And again, triplicate it. Boom.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go back to the first. We're going to go down here, and we're going to say, hey, we're sorting by T15 as products, and we want the product field. And then right here is. What do you think I'm going to put in right here from T15?
It was the record ID, whatever. We had two.
Exactly, the record ID. Yeah, you got it. And I almost forgot.
And then we put the correct. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I would have done that on the first one just to enforce that idea.
It's a good idea. And then remember, because we're triplicating it, all I did there while you're chatting, I copied it and I pasted that parameter to the other three buttons.
Yeah, but to go to the last one, that was turned into something short to. It was a long. Okay, go back. It's just longer as we had. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then the last thing I need to do, because this one has the hide calcs. If it's the other one, you're done. But this one, we're going to go click on the hide calc. And it's going to say, hey, what's the name of the field? And then also the portal name. So we're going to do T15 product.
Initially, I would turn the hides off is what I would do, just so I could see it running. But yes.
Yeah. If you really want me to, I will.
No, I just.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, do that. Turn it off. Okay. That'll help people. Because this right here is another. Listen, hide calcs. Margaret went into a stew the other day. She couldn't figure it out. She's going circles. I'm
gonna paste it in here, even though.
Yeah.
That's empty. And then I don't know if people see what I'm doing here, but I'm putting 0 for false.
And then
when I write, a quick quick little trick for people when you're writing hide calcs. They were brand new when I started at RCC, like a couple months after you hired me.
Yeah.
And you have a video, and it's so true. Our brains are wired to if true show,
Yes.
not if true hide. So when you're writing a case statement or an if statement, something I suggest doing sometimes is this would be our test right here. And then come down here and put 0. And then I'll put a note for myself, show, else hide. So you can actually write the calculation so that when something is true, it shows.
Yeah,
And-
it reminds you what that is, because I end up coming down and trying to read the sentence down here kind of stuff, like or wherever that says it. Maybe it says
I tell like I'm like, if it's a basic hide calc, I'll just write it out like most people. But I'll tell clients, look, I start getting confused on these, especially when there's like test number 2 and test number 3. But again, sometimes you just have a hard time trying to figure out the opposite. So don't figure out the opposite. Just say, hey, if this test is true, then the result is false, which is what you want. And again, just put these little comments for yourself. It's, I always tell my clients when I'm coaching, future you will appreciate those comments.
So nicely done.
Yeah. So now we're just going to do this one real quick. So I'm going to rush through this one.
Function by sort button. David, that's the question. Oh, that was like 5 minutes ago, though. Okay. David, that's still a question for you?
Yeah, let me know if I need to stop and take a look at something here. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, you're just making it all work, but we're commenting them out in the near term, right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the other button now so that we have 2 to go between. This is the record ID, and then I need to remember to put products here. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to the other 3 buttons. Trust me, I wish there was a way to just make this work. And then we're going to ignore the hide calculations on these ones. We're just going to do the 0, which I think is going to be a little confusing, but
it will, but it won't be as bad.
It's okay.
Right? So
I might need to make them wider. When I do my button bars, it does the width. It'll be this width, but because only one segment shows, it's okay. But I think I'm going to go to browse real quick. I'm pretty sure I need to make these wider. Otherwise, yeah, they're going to look like that. So let's go over here and make this wider.
Okay.
There we go. And then let's make this wider.
Okay, great.
Is that clear for you to see there?
I guess I just understand that they won't be hidden for whatever reason. That's fine.
I'm going to repeat this. I forget one step every time I do this. Double click on the portal. Should be the most obvious and add the sort.
Yeah, sort by that field.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just manipulating the cons. Everything else is about manipulating the contents of that sort field. And then we just have to tell it to steer it. Okay, so. Okay.
And then I just want to show our more, like David was asking how this works. So now I want to show people, oops, not that one. That now we have 2 objects. So there's our first portal. And you're right, Richard. It really should say portal projects. And then we've got portal products. And so this is the order it's going in. So this one is sorting, 1. This one's sorting 0. I think 1's ascending and 0's descending.
Okay, so it's doing for every.
This is.
Yeah, so it's doing. It's containing all of them in one JSON.
So, yeah, so this is a list. You don't see it, but in JSON, that's a list. Yeah. And so that sort field that we has, it's using a get value. Yeah. And it says, hey, I'm record ID number 1142, so I'm a 1. When I'm record 1126, so I'm whatever number that is in the list. I never really explained that part, but that's kind of how it's working.
I think I got that part, but the part that both of these are together. Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, so let's see.
So now if we go over here, I think it's a little harder to look at these because they don't highlight per se. But I can click on.
The point is that then you could change but it's your brain. Okay, because here's the thing: you're gonna get this point and it won't work, and so then all you have to do is you don't have to triage the hide. You just triage why your buttons aren't working. You see what I'm saying, right? Because I expect to get to this point and it doesn't work the way I want it to, and so instead of me triaging the hide conditions, I know that they're all being shown. I know this is everything visible. Once it's working, then I'll work on making this pretty. Is my
yeah. And remember, the other button object I give you no hide calcs. Single button, less
Yeah.
configuring.
Yeah.
I like these icons myself. The other one, it's got the little arrow that goes up and down, so.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then formatting these is easier because you just use the inspector. You're not using the calculation engine. I was reading David's comment. He says you need a custom function by sort button. I want to make sure I'm not skipping him on that. The custom functions on these ones are the parameter and the hide calc. The name is just text. The other one over here, it does have a custom function. And this piggybacks into what Stu was asking. He was like, you were asking about the bold one. So this one, you can do some modifications in the inspector here, but some of them are going to be overridden by the calculation that's taking place in here. So if I bring this one up on screen real quick, let's add this. And this one's doing product. So I'm going to go over here real quick and I'm going to say product. I should have not had that say field name. T15 product. And then we go over here, we do product. And then we edit this to T15. I could have actually just grabbed this out of the other one, record ID. And then we will call T15 product. Oops. And I'll give you an example, Stu. So we go over here and we go product. And one pro and con to using custom functions for these is, I'll give you the pro. So like we have our button bars up here that we control things by. And I use this, I call it slide tabs, but it's the button bar and has the slides.
Yeah.
And so one day a client comes to you and goes, I really wish the buttons look different. And you're like, do many layouts you have that on that I have to go and change? But if they all refer to a single custom function, you change the custom function and the entire solution updates at once. Now, if you want it to look different, that could be considered a con. But Stu, if we go over here and we go File, Manage, Custom Functions, and we go to, I think it's Sort Portal button. And let's go down here and let's say we don't want it to be bold. So I'm going to take this part and I'm going to put it over here and I'm going to comment out the bold part. So now, see that, how the bold just went away on that?
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways that you can choose to customize this. But Richard, you said you're less of a fan of the arrows. I think Stu, you said you like the arrow.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
I just don't want a bunch of hidden stuff while I'm trying to make it work, because then I can't tell if it doesn't work because it doesn't work or because my hidden isn't telling me what the deal is. So I try to minimize complexity until I know that
this one has less programming. And it's just, and what it does is it has an arrow point up or down, which is text.
Okay.
So in the button bar calculation, if I go back to it again real quick, sort portal button bar, up at the top here, we have these icons, and these icons are just some ASCII, ask me, I say it right?
ASCII,
and so
ASCII.
Thank you. And based on the correct logic, this one's going to show or this one's going to show. So one of the parameters is name. So if you come down here and you look at the finished product, all it is name, which is text. I'm saying it's product. I'm saying it's category. I'm saying it's date. And then you have an indicator. The indicator is slightly more complicated. But what this, and the bold part go away here, what this says is if the sort field equals the field that we're trying to sort by, then we're gonna do some logic here to basically choose this icon or choose this icon.
Yeah, it's once again, it's for something as simple as this, as essential and as simple as this is one of those deals where Claris kind of dropped the ball on this.
But you don't even, they didn't though. They gave us the tools to build the tools that we need.
Oh yeah, that's like saying that we have uranium in the ground and refine it, we can make plutonium, and if we're smart enough, we can make a nuclear.
This engineer guy once told me that what they gave us is Home Depot, and we can go to Home Depot to build the things that we need.
Sorry, that was me. My bad. Nothing like having your own words of wisdom thrown back at you by your children. It's a hard Friday already. All right, well.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise, I know the plane's circling the runway here.
So if we want the sample file, not this one, but the add-on, how do we go to Wolfpack? How do we find Wolfpack? Where's Wolfpack at?
Yeah, to go to my Venmo, and then I send you I'm just kidding. Give me 1 second. Well, I think actually fmwolfpack.com. Yeah, www.fmwolfpack.com.
WTF.wolfpack.com. Got it.
And if you guys find issues, questions, requests, do send those to support at RC Consulting. We do read those. I do respond to people. That's how we got Stu's awesome add-on that's in here, which I used. That's how we fixed the bug and also reported it to Claris. Like I don't know if that person is here right now, but
Wolfpack,
someone reported that. I figured out the howl issue, and we sent that off to Claris.
That's funny.
And then, David, to kind of answer your question, I don't know if I was exactly answering the order on that thing correctly. I think that they're actually in that order, and that's how it kind of sorts them. But it's magic and it works. Calvin will reach out to me every once in a while about slide tabs. It's probably the #1 add-on I use. He uses it frequently, and he'll ask me how it works, and I'll just be honest. I stayed up till 3 in the morning a couple weeks in a row, got it to work, and now it's a black box that I try to never ever touch. In my best moment, I made something that worked, and I don't really fully understand it anymore.
So,
but we got videos in there to get people who are maybe less up to speed on the add-ons and go watch those.
yes, that's
the
in
small company RCC. They've got a bunch of videos that you can watch on how to make add-ons.
We're heading towards 10,000 videos, if you can believe that. Someone said,
and if you go and make your own add-on and it's cool, send it to us. If I go back to Wolfpack real quick, I'll let you guys land this plane. You'll notice that my face.
Hang on. There we go. Now we're back. Yep.
My face is not the only one on here.
What that
Kyle, who I don't think is here today, he sent us several. Calvin has several. Willow from Next Tech has sent us one.
Face on the can of beer. Is that what that is?
Where's the can of beer?
No, look at his icon. It looks like a can of beer.
It does look like a can of beer. I'll let him know that. And then Stu, you should be somewhere in here. I'm going to scroll. There we go. Oh, that's John. Or I think he has a code name. Jake, one of our engineers who also comes to a lot of and there's Stu. So there's Jonathan. So, I make these. I love using your guys's too. So there's Leland.
Yeah, I've tried to get him back on the show. He's working on a startup company. So, yeah.
Very cool. So this is a community project. If you guys make something that you think is cool, send it in here so we can share it.
Community project. All right, everyone. You have a good Friday. We will be back. Alert Tuesday.